So I used a bit of scrap aluminium plate to do the drilling strategy on my little CNC mill, and I've tested it out now and it works perfectly. In other words, all the holes line up, nothing pulls out of line, and indeed it is a very solid structure with the pair of linear supported round rails. So off camera I just drilled out the two uprights for the gantry, and I've marked out and put a centre punch in holes that I'm going to drill in a moment, and I've actually marked out a notch that I'm going to take out because I want to place the x-axis, or that part of the gantry, further back in, but to support or stiffen up, you know, the side brackets or the uprights. I've cut two aluminium angle material that's going to fit obviously on the back side of there, like that. Alright, when these clamps out there. So that's what these holes are for, to connect this, and then the gantry itself, or the x-axis there, gets mounted to this. Okay, but it's also supported by this ledge as well. Okay, it'll all become, I think, fairly obvious when I put it together, and hopefully in this video I shall be putting it together. So my next job is to drill these through, and I've had quite a few people say, oh, why don't you use the mill or my large pillar drill or my large pillar manual mill to do the drilling? Well, what I'm trying to show you is that just using a pretty standard shop, you know, sort of drill press, okay, that you know, sort of most people would sort of be using, that you can actually make you know, a CNC router of this caliber by using this a lot of the time. I probably could have drilled these out too with that, using the same method, but I like to show a little bit of variety, plus I've got a CNC mill, so I do use it. Now, for cutting out this slotted area, take this material out here, I mean, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my motorized hacksaw there that I can vertically place up and put a little table on it, and I shall be cutting those out manually, and I'll probably, well, I might file it, but if I don't feel that energetic, I'll use my mill over there just to clean it up and make sure it's 90 degrees. But look, you can do it with a hacksaw and a file. You absolutely can do it. I mean, I cleaned these up and made them absolutely square by what they call draw filing and ordinary filing. Ordinary filing, you sort of place it across this way. I think I got a little bit of video showing this. But draw filing, you stand in front of it with the file sideways, and you draw it back and forth at you, and you can get it perfectly square, as I have done. So you can, by using hand tools, make one of these. The only bit I've done so far with the CNC router is I've made these blocks here to connect the ball nut and do these drillings. That's all I've used the CNC for. But there again, you could have made them in both cases by hand with a file and a drill. Okay, so drill these out. So although I've put a center punch mark on each one of these where I want the holes, what I'm going to do is I've got an 1/8 inch drill here. I'm just going to start the hole because this I'm going to put an 8mm drill through, which is close to 3/8 I think. And I don't want it to wander, I want them exactly where they are. So we'll just start it. I'm not sure, I think that drill might be a little bent. Right. That's better. I think it's about time I clean this bit of bench up. It's getting a lot of swarf all over the place, but that's one of the hazards of doing something like this, I think. Okay. So now we've got a good start to our drillings, and I don't think we're going to go too far wrong with them. So there is our finished left and right gantry upright saw, whatever you want to call them. So now what I need to do is clamp on the back side of each of these. I find it easier to cut them to size and then clamp them into position and then drill them. Okay, it works out better. You haven't got to mess around moving things and filing holes to make them fit. So if you sort of fit it like this and put a couple of clamps on and then just mount the holes through with the right size drill, then take it apart, drill it, and you know it's going to be right. And I've made it very close to the top of the bearing block there. I think I allowed 0.5 millimeter clearance between the top of the bearing block and the underside of this, so it should be absolutely fine and sturdy. You know, this is going to end up being what's that? That's 15 millimeter thick of aluminium, you know, and it goes down past this notched out affair, which strengthens the whole thing up, you know, and it takes the sideways, should we say, motion, or the sideways load, it takes it right down to the bearing blocks, transmits it down there. So this, you know, if you didn't have this and you just had this, although this is 10 mil thick, it can flex. So you put a big stiffener in that does two jobs. It stiffens this whole upright up, reinforces it, and it gives you a secure area to attach the X-axes on, and all these parts built up together make the gantry. It's the easiest, most secure, and rigid. Now that's the magic word. If your CNC router doesn't have rigidity throughout its whole structure, it's going to vibrate like hell, and it's going to, shall we say, determine the type of finish that you're going to get on your parts, the accuracy that you're going to get on the parts, and it can cause tools to snap and you know, sort of real horrific finishes, and indeed do it very slowly as well, because you wouldn't be able to have a fast feed rate. Okay, so I'm going to get these drilled and mounted on. When I say mounted on, I mean all this mounted up together, and then we can look at marking the X-axis out and positioning it where it's absolutely going to go, and get these drilled and hopefully end up connecting, or shall we say assembling, the whole of the gantry, and then we'll know exactly what we've got. Not foreseeing any problems at all, so we'll get stuck into it. And finally, after many hours of work, I can put the x-axis onto its uprights and complete the construction of the gantry, which is very stable, I'm glad to say. So, getting a little bit heavy now, actually. This whole unit now is, well, it's above 30 kilos. I haven't weighed it to be exact, but I can tell you it's above 30 kilos. So I'm expecting it to be like probably 45 to 50 kilos when it's completed. We've still got quite a bit of stuff to put on it. Oh, should have done that up tight. Must be a little bit of a burr in there somewhere. It's okay, it will go in. I've left the tolerances very close. I mean, this is a 8mm bolt going into an 8mm hole, and by the time you take into consideration the thread, it's 8.9mm if you measure the actual bolt itself, and the hole is an 8mm hole, so there's 0.1 clearance. So any burr whatsoever, and it'll hold it up slightly, but that's good because there's not going to be any slopping around, and it's nearly as good as having a dowel. Not quite, but nearly as good. So we'll put these on here. I don't want to do them up tight yet, not until I've checked everything out. You saw me earlier squaring the uprights of the gantry up off this table. Actually, look, this table is pretty damn flat. It's 3 inches thick of laminated board, plywood. And I know it's very flat, so I can build off this safely. So I put a square on here, and before I locked the bearing securely that's on the guide rail, and I aligned it perfectly upright and tightened it up there. So we'll put this side in. Well, now it looks, or is beginning to look more like a CNC router, a very substantial CNC router. I'll just turn it around so you can, I just mentioned just now that it's getting fairly weighty, and it really is. Things like this bit of a rough edge here, I'll clean up, this corner here and these corners, because I have a habit of, taking bits of skin off me from sharp corners. So I'm going to be rounding all these sharp corners off when I've completed the entire build. But as you can see, I've made it extremely robust because I don't want it flexing, and this is the most simple way to construct a CNC router using pretty ordinary tools, nothing really special in your workshop. Look, the only thing I used the CNC router, sorry, CNC mini mill on was to, oh, God, blimey. Like I say, getting heavy now. Was these bridges here for the ball nuts. That's the only thing I've made really using a CNC machine, and those could actually, okay, that could actually be made by hand as well. You know, not too difficult, but it was very easy for me to, you know, make on this little CNC mill. Something I've just noticed too that I didn't think of. I'm going to have to I'm going to take that out there. That might become a nuisance. I might just run the corner off, I don't know yet. Yes, but very, very strong, very sturdy. I'm really pleased actually. You know, everything has gone according to plan. And as soon as I can, look, now I know that everything is working sort of as I wanted it to. I can now produce the plans, and I'll get them up on the Patron. Talking of which, if you would like to become a patron, it is the patrons that now support this channel. Without them, I couldn't, just absolutely couldn't do things like this and make it very interesting for you. So if you'd like to become a patron, the information will be above the comment section in the description below. Please, if you've liked the video, subscribe and press like. That's always a real help. And I think the next video will be, well, I know the next video is going to be me constructing the Z axes, which that will take me, I should probably have that up about midweek, about 3 or 4 days from now. It's Saturday morning here, and you know, it's taken me a little longer to get this far because I've had a few things crop up and I haven't been able to get up here and actually work. So there you go. So thank you for calling in and having a look what I'm doing, and I hope you pop in for the next thrilling installment for the Z-axis. The Z-axis, and getting closer to being finished. Of course, when I have all the axes up and running, and of course the next job for me then would be making everything to hook up all the stepper motors, but I'm still waiting on my external electronic control to come through the mail. It left its place of origin 5-6 weeks ago, and I still haven't got it, so I don't know what the hold up is. The tracking number doesn't sort of say much other than it's left the country of origin, so it's probably still floating around on the high seas. But, you know, it's okay. We'll get it in the end. I mean, I can start building all the electronics then, and then hook that up last thing. So, okay, we'll draw this one to a close. And thank you for joining me. And it's bye for now.